All right.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nicole, what episode is this?
It's number 8.
Number 8.
Number-
Yeah, we've
And
made it.
Look who we have. We have John Boutte and Paul Sanchez. And
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
gonna cut
exciting.
this fan off.
John's going for a walk.
Perfect timing on John's part.
I'm back.
Really
I'm back.
end
I'm
the
back.
show.
This is going to be fun.
This-
So it's episode 8. We have Paul Sanchez and John Boutte with us. I'm stunned. I'm really excited for today. I wanted to let everyone know that I'm recovering from like the worst cold I've ever had in my life. Post this COVID thing. So if my voice sounds really strange, that's why. So just letting everyone at home know who's tuning into this that I'm getting better and better and better. And if you watched yesterday's with Vance, I was blowing my nose the whole time, and I apologize for that.
I'm so sorry I missed that.
And I also want to mention that I'm super excited for today because actually my very first Jazz Fest, whatever year it was, I wasn't super knowledgeable of New Orleans music. And the first artist that I think I saw in New Orleans, a New Orleans musician, was John Boutte. And I remember walking into probably the jazz tent, I think, I'm not sure. And you were singing the Thomas Dorsey tune, It Don't Cost Very Much, and it swept me away. And I've been going back to Jazz Fest to kind of revisit that joyful and simple beauty ever since. So thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. That really. Y'all are not gonna make me cry on this video, okay? Cause I've been drinking. I'm trying to get on the Zoom for about a half an hour. I'm like, let's Zoom.
Well, we'll get Zoom in now.
Actually, as long as we're talking about first encounters with John Boutte, John, I just want to let you know, well, I met both of you in 2007 at the Patry, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, but my ex-wife, when I was still with my then wife back in 2006, we wandered into the jazz tent about 2 songs into your famous set. And that was one of the most memorable, maybe the most memorable hour I've ever spent at Jazz Fest. And there have been a lot of hours I've spent at Jazz Fest. But
Thank you, Chris. I can tell you this. Excuse me. While I was waiting for the Zoom to come on, I was just sitting out there looking out, at the trees and listening to the birds. And a memory of LA came up to me because, I'd never really been to LA, and it was when you and I and Paul, I think Coleman, somebody, whoever else, were walking down the street to your house. And we got to one that was like really New Orleans style, Haitian almost, like, the wrapping our balcony, that beautiful place. And we walked in, and your 2 boys slid down those steps. I still remember that like it was yesterday. And I know they're young men now, you know what I'm saying?
Well, one's off on Tuesday, next Tuesday, to go to college in the Netherlands. So,
They were happy. It was beautiful. It reminded me of when I was a kid.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Paul, I'm going to talk about meeting you in 2007 too at the Threadhead Patry, but let's launch into the questions and we'll circle back into that. So let's start at the beginning. At what point in your respective lives did you each decide you wanted to be a musician?
I can't remember wanting to do anything else. I played bands when I was a little kid. When I was 6 years old, me and my little brother Johnny would get on top of my mom's cedar robe and play concerts, pretend concerts to my sister and her friends, and play like we were the Beatles or Herman's Hermits. I got on stage for the first time when I was in the 3rd grade, and or 4th grade, I attended a summer camp at Trinity Episcopal School for underprivileged kids because we were really poor. And one of the things was theater. And I got to play the Artful Dodger in Oliver. And I was, 10 years old or something. Yeah, I was 10. And that was it, man. I wanted to be on stage singing in front of people. I liked the costumes. I liked the makeup. I liked being on stage. And I loved the applause. So I never wanted to do anything else.
love
Wow. Well, Paul, you know what? We are very, very similar from that standpoint, man, because, you know, I grew up and surrounded by music in New Orleans, man. And always hearing brass bands, even as a kid. And there was always music in the house. My mom and them had a piano, you know, and my grandfather taught us Salty Dog on the, my dad, you know, you know what I'm talking about, Salty Dog, man. Sweet Pickles and Salty Dog, that's what it's called. And everybody could play it because you could just roll your fingers over the black keys and make it sound good. But I always wanted to sing. I always was singing, man. I was singing to my dogs. I was singing to anybody who would listen. As a kid, I was like a little bird, man, you know, and he wanted to shut me up sometimes, but I continued to do so. And then, you know, my mom gave me a horn, man, when I was 8 years old. And that was really special. But before I was 8, you know, just like Paul doing concerts with his brother on the Cedar Road, we were, my sister and them, whenever, you know, 10 kids in the family. So Saturdays, when everybody was out off from school, you know, it was like, you know, my mother wasn't cleaning that whole joint up herself. My dad wasn't, you know, he was certainly not going to do it. So, you know, we'd have like cleanup parties, and then they'd break out the records on the stereo or the radio, and they'd have like little talent shows, man. My sister and I would be singing, and everybody would just be, it was really beautiful, you know? So we had that, and we had bands in the house. My sister Lillian had bands coming up when she was a teenager. She played with a lot of bands, et cetera, et cetera. But I always wanted to do music, and you know, there's some certain parts of my life where if I was an adult and I had the decision making part of it, you know, like to stay back 1 year in high school so I could attend NOCA, you know, and my mom didn't want me to stay back. She was like, "It's too small, you can't stay back." I'm like, 1 freaking year. I'm 17. I'm already 1 year. I'm 1 year old earlier than anybody in my class, right? I graduated at 20, college, you know. So, but I always loved music, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I'm here right now. You know, finally somebody made up my mind for me. That was when I was hanging out with John Scott, Jonathan Fishback, and Stevie Wonder. And he told me I could do this. That was after college, after an Army career, and I was working as a banker. And then I decided, you know, I'm gonna do what I wanna. Like the song said, "Do what you wanna, baby." John decided to do what he wanna. Everybody thought I was crazy, and they were right. But you know, I'm very happy at where I'm at. You know, and you know, I wouldn't change anything. It's all goes how it's supposed to go.
So that may be a good segue into talking about your mentors growing up. I mean, clearly Stevie Wonder was a mentor. What about when you guys were younger? Who could you identify as your mentors?
Well, in person, it was my brother George was an English teacher and an actor and a director. And so he's also very stern. So I remember playing him one of my first songs, and he said, "Do you know what a metaphor is?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Look it up." My brother Andrew is deceased now, but he was the one who got me playing guitar. He really wanted me to play, and my whole life I never liked learning in front of somebody. I don't like being embarrassed in front of people. So he'd show me something that was hard, and I'd say, "I want to learn this. Is easy." And he'd be like, "All right, I'll show you the easy thing if you let me show you the hard thing." I'd say, "Okay." And he'd show me both, and then he'd leave the room, and I would only practice the hard thing.
Oh.
And then my brother-in-law, Dan, taught me how to play rock and roll. He was dating my sister, Nani, and he had grown up in the 50s and liked Buddy Holly and Elvis. And I got a real nice dose of how to play early rock and roll from him. So I had personal mentors. My brothers, Andrew and Joe and Johnny all played horn, you know, and I'm sure John will say the same thing. We were poor in America in the 60s. And when you're poor in America in the 60s, the thing you do most is listen to the radio because it's free. And if you have 10 brothers and sisters like we had, then you're hearing music from all generations. You're hearing, you know, soul music from the 70s and the 50s, rock and roll. And my one sister liked Hank Williams. And my first Beatles record that I can remember seeing was the one with the black and white picture of them. And each picture had a lipstick print on the face from one of my sisters having kissed it. And I thought, well, that's a good way to make a living, you know.
I love that. Love it.
I love that. That's great. Tell us the story of how you two met and how did you decide to begin playing together?
Well, Paul.
Oh, I remember now. We met at a Blackbird party in the French Quarter.
That's right. We were at Michelle Shock's house.
Right. And
at Michelle Shock's.
At Michelle Shock's place on Dauphine.
What's his name? The singer. Who else was there? The singer, brother from Mississippi.
I don't remember.
Oh, come on. He's so big right now, man.
I remember like we were jamming. Michelle wanted to do a jam session, and we were sitting near each other, and we started to sing harmonies, and your voice was high and mine was low, and it just was easy.
Right, that's true. That's right. In her backyard, man.
What year was that?
Gosh.
That was before Blood. That was
90 something.
Yeah, 99, probably 98.
98. That's about right, because I just finished up doing one of my. I'm trying to think. I was finishing up one of my records for Bose or something like that. Oh no, it may have been either Bose or it was Scotch and Soda or something like that.
Scotch and Soda. But I knew you when you were making the Bose record because you invited me by the studio.
That's exactly right. So that probably was when it was during that time, man. You know.
Yeah.
And Cab Mo.
Wow.
Cab Mo was there. Do you remember that?
I didn't know he was there. No, totally.
He was there, man, and he gave me his number, and I lost it.
I remember you and not Cab Mo.
Send me that freaking number, dude. That's not true. Oh gosh, man. You know. So yeah, we met then, man. It was beautiful. I was really Paul, I think she had made collage. Am I right?
I believe so, yeah.
I remember all those kind of like silly details, man. That she had made hot flat. Was Susan there?
I don't remember. You know, it was really the first time that I had hung out with Michelle. We knew each other in my New York days back in the 80s.
Right.
And then she moved to town and she invited me to this party, and I didn't know most of the people there.
Well, that was a fateful meeting, man. Because let me tell you, Paul, I had told you I hadn't written in years, you know. And man, it was like, you know, when we got together, it was just, you know, that one day, man, you know. Jeez, you know, it was like we opened a genie bottle. Where is that bottle again? Let's grab it.
Is that when you guys wrote Foot of Canal Street?
Right. We wrote Foot of Canal Street, Shake My Gate, Two Bands Rolling on the Street, Sisters. Yeah. How many first tunes we wrote in that day, dude?
We wrote a lot of the stuff in that first couple of sessions. Sisters and Foot of Canal Street was the first session we ever had together.
That's right.
Living on Bienville, near the cemeteries. And John, this is how long ago it was. John was still smoking cigarettes.
Oh, Lord.
We took a walk to the Texaco. We took a walk to the Texaco to buy you a pack of smoke.
I was cool like the Marlboro man.
And we were coming back from the store towards my house, and you pointed to a cemetery a block away. And he said, "Man, that's where my father's buried." I said, "Man, that's one more thing we got in common because my daddy's buried right across the street." Yep. And he smiled and he said, "Black or white, baby, we all go meet at the foot of Canal Street."
That's right.
And I said, "Let's go home and write that song right now."
We went right in there and did it. No shit.
That worked out great.
Yeah, it was so beautiful, man.
And with Sisters, it was the same thing. I was blown away. John was like, "Yeah, that was fun, you know." you know,
Yeah, because you know, Paul, you helped me write those tunes for the Bose record when I think about it.
yeah,
What it was for.
it was for the Bose record.
Well, I'll be done, man. Yes, now it comes back.
I was after the first song, I go, hey man, we got another one. That was great, you know. And he goes, I don't have time, baby. I got to book my tour of Europe. And I was still buzzing from the Canal Street. I liked it so much. And he gets on the phone, he starts booking gigs. And he says, you know what? Next time we get together, we'll write a song about my sisters. Their names are Lolette, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, and Lenore. And I said, that's a song already. It's just
That's right. That's right.
So
That's exactly
I
right.
started singing lines to him, and he'd tell the person he was booking gigs with, hang on a second, baby. And he changed this and he changed that, and he'd go back to booking the gig. It took him about a half hour to book this tour, and by the time the tour was booked, Sisters was written.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is, Paul, the reason you asked me what my sisters' names were is because the first, it was back when they had answer phones, I guess, right? And the first one, it was like, you said, I told her, I said, my answer phone, that's my sister, Lynette. And then I said, oh, that's my sister, Lillian. And I said, oh, that's my sister, Lita. And he said, dude, how many sisters she got? And that's when I rattled the names, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, Lenore.
Yeah, I had 5 sisters too, and they always asked me why I didn't use their names. But, you know, those names sing. My sisters were Sandy, Wheezy, Margie, Nani, and Mary. It just didn't sing the same.
You could make something of that, man. That's actually you can dive off of each of those names off a different off a different cliff or diving board, either one.
Next time we're together, baby.
I think there's a song there, Paul. Yeah, I think you ought to think
I
about
think
that.
so too, man. You better do it. Your sister's gonna be pissed.
Before we talk about the Patria in 07, in 05 when the flood hit,
Oh yes.
that changed both of your careers in profound ways. Can you guys each talk about that?
For me, I was in a rock and roll band, and in the first few months after the flood, we had a tour bus, and people were giving us clothes and food to give to people that had been hurt. So we were able to do some good in those first few months by giving clothes to friends who were been chased out of New Orleans, or food or whatever. But my life started to seem like sort of a cartoon. This pretend rock star life. We weren't really that big, you know. We did okay, but it was just sort of, there was a before and after in life, and the pandemic's going to be the same way. Before the flood, I had a frivolous life. I didn't just walk between the raindrops. I danced between the raindrops on acid.
Mm.
After the flood, I had no home, no band, and as it turns out, no marriage left. So rebuilding was the theme of my life for the last, 16 years.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, Paul, man. It's like we've before 207, you know, it was one thing 205, my mom told me, I'll never forget, actually, I was on my way to Brazil. She said, God damn it, boy. You live like you ain't got a worry in the world. And I said, Mama, I don't.
Right.
She says, why not? I said, because I only worry about the stuff that I have control of. Right? And that's me, you know. So, when my stuff starts going awry, then I can start getting worried. And even with Katrina, I never had a home. I never bought a home. I never owned property, and for several reasons. And it wasn't because I didn't have money. But it's America, right? So moving on.
Yeah.
I can tell you that once that hit and everybody was so devastated and everybody was thrown off their regular things, I was the only one who was the freak who didn't have a regular job, et cetera, et cetera. And the rest of the family also, man, they couldn't go back to New Orleans, because they had no place to do it. And I didn't mind living rough. I lived in tents when I was in the military, man. I had a roof and running water. I'm cool, you know what I'm saying? And I rigged up some electricity. I had to pay like $500. I bribed some guy coming down the street from Entergy. Oh, is that statute of limitations up?
I remember. I remember.
You remember, man?
On each other during the flood, because the city was closed and everybody was scattered. So I called John. He's like, "Yeah, I'm in Asheville, North Carolina." I said, "Oh, I know Asheville. It's nice, but it's North Carolina's pretty Protestant, let's say." And John said, "Yeah, baby, the CBS Records is putting together Ivan Neville and George Porter and all these guys. They want me to sing a couple songs in this thing, social something." They called the band.
The New Orleans Social Club.
And he said, New Orleans Social Club. He says, "Yeah, they told me they want me to sing Blackbird." And I said, "Well, I know that song. Pack up all my cares and woes. Here I go singing low. Get out of New Orleans, you black motherfucker." And they go, "No, we don't want you to sing Blackbird. We want you to sing Blackbird by the Beatles." And he says to me, "Well, I didn't really know that one." So I told him I'd go to a record store. He says, "So Paul, I go to a record store in Asheville, North Carolina.
Right.
I'd like to have Blackbird by the Beatles." And they say, "That's on the White Album." I said, "The motherfucking White Album."
I was having a James Baldwin moment, okay?
So he's saying "Why" by Annie Lennox instead.
And I said, but Paul, I'm glad you said that. I forgot all about the fact that, they called me to do that while I was in exile, and actually when I was in Brazil when the storm hit, and from Brazil,
God.
right, I was stuck in Brazil for about a week and a half with Ivan Neville, Terrence Simeon, Cyril Neville. Yeah, Cyril was. It was like an incredible group of people that we had there. I think Cyril was with us, but anyway, man, we got stuck in Brazil. When I got back home, I couldn't come back to New Orleans, and thank goodness for my dear friend Randy, who I love so much, who's passed, and he took care of me for a couple of months in Florida, Naples, and made it easy for me financially, right? It's good to have really rich friends with a good heart. I'm serious, man. I miss it. He was just the best.
One right now, baby.
Yeah. Me too. But I can tell you, man, I did that record with Cyril Neville and Henry Butler, Ivan Neville, Irma Thomas, Dr. John, Willie T, oh gosh, man, I forget that. Raymond Weber on the drums. I think I said Ivan, George Porter on the bass. I was thinking about George. Who the hell on guitar, man? It was an incredible band. That's all. I got to. It was an incredible band, and I had a bunch of projects, man. There's so many I can't remember. I worked with a choir in Houston that was out of George Bush, Preston Bush's church. But these guys could sing. They're one of the best. Actually, they have a Grammy now. They're called Conspirati. And I enjoyed doing that, man. It was classical music, and I sang along with them with no drums, anything, just piano. It was fabulous. So I had a lot of stuff I did in between, man, after the storm, But you guys, the Threadheads, I got to tell you, we didn't have like this pandemic where the government came in and tried. They gave us a little shit, but without the Threadheads, that really, man, started a big thing. For me, it was beautiful because, I was able to make some great music with Paul and some good records, man. And you guys have been so generous afterwards with all these other musicians I see coming up, I wanted to call you and say, I need $5,000. I could do it, but I was too proud, right? I was gonna do a little Christmas record, but with the pandemic and shit, man, what are you gonna do? And look, guess what? The day I found out, I hate to be jumping the gun on, jump into the future, but Paul, you heard this, man. well, I don't know if you hear this, but I had a gig at the on the 9th of September at the Botanical Gardens. That's a great gig. You know, you've been there, you've seen it, right? And the guy canceled today.
Really?
Yes. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, I know. I
That
know.
city of New Orleans City Park, they canceled today, dude, for
You know,
something in September the 9th. What
people
are we
got-
gonna do? What are we gonna do with these festivals? These people are pissing me off.
I know.
We can
Like
beat
we're-
this thing, man. We just gotta beat it.
It's like we're watching a
Jeez.
hurricane come towards us, and instead of getting ready, everybody's having a hurricane party.
It just it breaks my heart, man. And I'm trying to, I'm isolated, check.
Wow.
Yeah, that's isolated.
Well,
Well-
beautiful for spacious skies, for winds of grain.
Well, let's go back. Let's visit a good festival memory before we talk about what might happen in October or September. The 2007 Threadhead Patry. I was not there, but I know that is legendary for you guys and your performance. So tell us a little bit about that performance and its aftermath.
I had left the band I was in and come home to start again, and was fortunate enough to be friends with John and his guitar player, Todd Duke, who was an amazing, beautiful player and person. And I started playing gigs with them. I don't know why, because didn't know how to play jazz, but they were nice enough to let me sit in and fake it and eventually teach me a little bit about how to do it. But Chris, I don't know. No, it was Jeff Potter, I believe, got the idea to put John Boutte and I together.
Yeah.
A threadhead from Wyoming. And we knew each other. We were friends, but we'd never played music together, And so we worked up a set of music for the Threadhead Patry of stuff of his that I could handle, not the real hardcore jazz stuff, but some simpler stuff, and then stuff of mine he could sing along with. And it included our natural banter, us fucking with each other like we do in real life, and everybody loved it. It was just sort of the healing tonic that the Patry was looking for. And Chris Joseph came up to me afterwards and said, "You guys are great together. Why don't you do a record?" And I said, "Man, I just lost my house and everything I own. I don't have money to make rent, let alone make a record." And he said, "How much do you need?" And I told him, and he said, "Great, I'll get back to you." And being in the music business a long time, I went, "Yeah, right, sure." And then 2 weeks later, he called and he said, "I have the check. Where do I send it?" And I was speechless, because he didn't say, "I want to hear the music." He didn't say, "I want to own the music." He didn't say, "I want you to sign a contract." All he said was, "Promise me with your word as a gentleman that when the CD comes out, you'll pay the people back, because some of the people that put up money are out of work and could only put up $5. They just wanted to be a part of it." And so we did John's record, and my record, Exit to Mystery Street. We finished that off, and what it did for the Threadheads was what it did for us. We were all feeling so powerless, what to do, how to help. And suddenly these people from around the world, these magical Threadheads, had found a way to be empowered. They could help by helping us make music. And they started asking, "Who else needs help?" And I was like, they said, "Why don't you make another record?" I'm like, "No, one with John, one with me is good. I'm exhausted." But Greg Klein was a friend, and I said the Nightcrawlers ran out of money for their record, and they could use the help. And I think I got he and Chris and Craig together, and the Threadheads were voracious. Their appetite, once it got started for helping, their appetite could not be satiated. They kept helping and kept helping. And the Threadhead Records itself, the not-for-profit label, released over 60 CDs and raised over $700,000 that I know of. The Threadhead Foundation, the Fest for Kids, pumped another $1 million into the musical community with grants and things like that. So you can honestly say this loose collection of music fans, New Orleans music fans from around the world who met on a Jazz Fest chat thread, changed New Orleans music for generations to come.
That's right. In a way, they actually saved that New Orleans music scene. Because Paul, everybody was saying, "Who's the Threadheads? How can I get in?"
But they didn't just.
I'm so glad you did that. But
the record had money. the Threadheads came out in force to your shows, and they bought your record.
Right, they did, man. They're incredible fans, man. They're incredible. It's an incredible network of beautiful, altruistic folks who love music, you know, and love New Orleans, and that's a good thing, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, they literally came. I'm a proud Scorpio, man, and it's hard to ask for help, you know. It's hard to ask for help, man. You know, sometimes I've always felt that I had to just muddle through my own way and make it happen. You know?
That's us Scorpios.
I do
John,
remember clearly when Chris said, "How much is it gonna cost?" Right, and you said 16. I was gonna shove you in the ribs and say 25. Tell me 25.
John, I don't know if I've ever told you this, and maybe I have, but I'm getting old, so I don't remember what I've said. But you taught me about trust.
Wow.
You gave me a life lesson about trust, and I'll tell you why. So that was in May of 2007. We raised the money from the Threadheads. You guys did your 2 albums. I was talking to Kimball, your manager at the time, going through him. Paul, you and I were communicating some, but John, you and I didn't have any communication whatsoever. Till April of 2008, the next Jazz Fest, you told Paul or someone, I think it was Paul, hey, let's have some breakfast. And we went, you and I and Gregory and Paul and Coleman and a few other people, we met for breakfast. And you were regaling us with stories, and you were funny and charming. And I can't remember, Paul, if you told me this or if Kimball told me this, but that what was going on for that year when you and I didn't talk, when you and I didn't have any communication, is that I had to earn your trust. And that was a good thing for me to do. That was a good memory or a good lesson for me, that trust isn't given, trust is earned.
Right.
And I thank you for that, because I've carried that with me.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I might have been Kimball telling me to earn, I had to trust. Because let me tell you, I trusted you from day one because I got my mom's wishing. So it might have been Kimball telling me.
Maybe it was.
I tell you, man, I anytime somebody who's going to offer me $16,000 and don't know me from Adam, right? I'm like, wow, this guy, these guys, and that's why I wanted to make sure that, because we didn't have any signed shit. I don't remember signing anything.
There was nothing signed, yeah.
No, but you know what, Kimball, I'm a man of my word, man. You know what? One thing about this industry I fucking hate is contracts. Oh, sign a contract. Look, if I tell you I'm gonna do fucking something, I'm gonna do it. You hear me? The only thing that's gonna keep me from doing it is if I'm as some kind of emergency, health or otherwise, you know. And I know you can't trust people like that, but you can trust me because I'm an officer and a gentleman. That's true. And I'm a Boy Scout, right? I was a Boy Scout. I believed in being trustworthy and honest, man. You know, all those things. You know, that's how we grew up. And, you know, that's what the world needs more of now. Everybody, you know, you can sign contracts and you'd be screwed, man, you know, read the details. But you have to trust people, man. And I've done a lot of things in my life without having to sign anything on paper. And I know it's some people say that's a bad way to do business, you know, and I'm like, no, it's not, because that paper is just a piece of paper. They can screw me with it or without it. Right? If they're gonna do me right,
I can attest to that. I've signed plenty of piece of paper and gotten screwed plenty times.
Well, I can tell you, I was talking to my financial advisor today. She's a sweet chick. She called me up, man. Chick, I don't want to say chick, but she's a sweet young lady who, you know, just called me today to just talk. You know, nothing about money or anything, just talk. You know, I don't know, people do that sometime with me, right? I'm like, why is she calling? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was about to tell you for a certain reason why I had the conversation with her. It was about trust, though. but I trust her with my money, man. You know, and so you have to trust people. You know, and if they show you the wrong side, just don't go back again, man. Then you know. Oh, I know what to say, Paul, was that the only oath that I ever really took, the only oath, that's what I told my fan national advisor, sorry. That's what I brought her up. Was she was telling me, oh, oaths, and I was like, yeah, but the only oath I ever took was to the Constitution of the United States to protect and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's the only oath. I'm 63 years old and I've never taken. And guess what? I've honored that oath, right? But that's you gotta, you gotta be, I really do believe you gotta say what you mean and mean what you say and follow through.
Yeah. Some people don't honor their oaths, like some of the congressmen in DC didn't honor their oath.
No, this is what really riles me up, man, because 10 years I was an indentured servant to the United States of America. Only 1% of the citizens do that. And I was basically, I was property of the US government. And I had to do the will, fight, et cetera, die, et cetera, et cetera. You had to follow orders according to the the United States Code of Military Justice. Sorry, I couldn't get the acronym out. But yeah, man, Paul, Chris, let me tell you, honestly, dude, I'm glad I did trust you from day one, man. I know you were an honorable person, man. I could smell evil. I know I can. I got my mother, and I had a beautiful mother and a beautiful father, and they were both smart as hell and had intuitive as that anybody could be, and just loving and creative. They loved one another and they loved all their kids and they loved life. They wasn't looking for death. They wasn't looking for Armageddon or nothing. They want to live like me. I want to live. Right.
I love it.
Well, looking back on jazz, well, let's go to Jazz Fest again. So looking back on Jazz Fest, if you could choose one Jazz Fest performer who is no longer with us and hear them play again, who would that be?
For me?
Yeah.
Both of you, yeah.
For me, I can say, without a doubt, it would be my sister Lillian. Because she was just, before she succumbed to Alzheimer's, she was just getting better and better. And then I saw her at French Quarter Festival. I just stopped. I don't know who it was. And I think it could have been my mother. I turned around and said, somebody. I just turned around and said, God damn, how is she fucking getting better? And I would love to be able to see her sing again. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be singing.
That's beautiful.
How about you, Paul?
I have a lot of great Jazz Fest memories, and many of the artists are no longer with us. But Lillian was pretty special. I'm going to go with John because I didn't even call her Lillian. She was my queen. I remember meeting her, and I remember we were in John's old apartment, which he lived behind a voodoo shop. And Lillian had come in from Europe, and she had a turban wrapped around her head. And Princess Miriam from the voodoo shop was bringing out the incense for the night so that it would just burn off in the patio. And Lillian was talking about this promoter in Europe who had screwed her over on a contract. And the smoke was wafting over her shoulders, and it was surrounding this head wrap, and her eyes were ablaze. And she's going, I told that motherfucker. And I was just looking at her, and I thought I was under a voodoo spell. I just was so in love with her presence, her essence, her everything about her. I'm sure it wasn't the first time one of John's friends fell in love with his sister Lillian, but I remain so. She was my queen, and she still is.
And Paul,
Love to
I
hear it.
think when you wrote that record, the song Voodoo Shop, it was after your encounter with Lillian.
That's right. That's right. Cowboy, the last Cowboy Mouth record I was on was called Voodoo Shop, and it was about that moment. John actually sang on the record as well.
Yeah.
It was about that moment. And she could rile up a crowd like nobody's business, you know.
Oh man, she was a pro. She was a pro, man. And
Oh,
look, 2 nights ago, or last Thursday, I had Wednesday night. I was just dying for a stupid hamburger, right? And I didn't want to go out and buy one, so I got some good ground beef, and I made a hamburger that was like 2 inches thick on a Kaiser roll with mayonnaise. I didn't even put a pickle on it. Now look, I'm only 124 pounds, 123 actually. I go from 22 to 25 depending on if I'm drinking or eating hamburgers, right? So, but I ate that hamburger, man, on Wednesday, and Thursday, Paul, I woke up, I had 2 tequilas after. No, I went out to a viewing of a documentary, City of a Million Dreams. Y'all got to check that out. It's about the social aid and pleasure clubs in New Orleans, and it's a fabulous documentary that Jason Berry and Big Red did. Anyway, I went to that viewing, came home afterwards, man, and had just 1 shot of tequila, which is nothing for me, right? You know what I'm saying? But I woke up the next morning, bro. I was like somebody put a knit needle in my hand. I was dehydrated. I realized I had water. That hamburger was like, playing Ronald McDonald and Burger King fighting in my belly. I was sick. The point is, I was sick as a dog, dude, till 4 o'clock. And then in the afternoon, I slept. You know, I get up 4 in the morning. I slept till after I got straight and rehydrated. I slept from like 10 o'clock till 4. I was still weak, but I went and I channeled my sister because I seen her do that in Europe on occasions more than once. Horrible day, bad news, not feeling well. And she would go on that stage and be just like Dorothy and the freaking Wizard of Oz. She would just be transformed, man, It was incredible. And that's what I did Thursday, man. I went in there and you wouldn't know. Nobody would have known, because I was a good Buddhist and wouldn't tell. I had to tell on the animal because they were working on my nerves.
Well, speaking of food, this might be a good segue to talk about favorite Jazz Fest food. Why don't you guys talk about that? What's your go-to food?
well, for me, for decades, it's been the trout parquet. First thing I go for.
Well, I personally, I gotta tell you, if I don't show up at my cousin's Wilkerson's hot sausage, I think my ancestors will come and put my head out. But I love Wilkerson's, and also I make sure I have some of that, and I also make sure that I go get. I love the fried soft shell crab, po' boys, man. That's one of my best, and also like the seafood. Not. I'm sorry. The mango freeze. I always have. Yeah, they put mango freeze. I love them. And also any of the teas, man. Because you got to read. You got there. All the different teas that they have. Rosemary, blah blah blah. So.
Right,
That's actually what I made myself to soothe my sore throat. I made a rose mint tea with honey today, and that's what I'm sipping.
Wow. You know what's also very good for that is
What?
ginger. Ginger is really because it's anti-inflammatory, and especially whenever I have like vocalization problems, I get raw ginger. I chop me a piece off and I just put it in my mouth and chew on it, suck on it like a lozenge.
Well, when we're done with this, I'm going to go to my fridge and get my raw ginger, and I'm going to do that. So
You know
thank
what
you, John.
you do? Take your cube of it and just boil it for like 5 minutes. And make you some ginger tea like that with a little honey, man. But the ginger is really so good. If you got turmeric too, throw some of that in there, man. Any of that stuff that's gonna stop the inflammation. I'm so sorry you got that cold.
Thank
I
you,
can't
John.
stand cold because then my instrument's gone.
Right, right. I appreciate that, and I'll think of you when I make my little ginger turmeric tea later on tonight.
Well, another thing, let me tell you. Do you have any bay leaf?
I do.
Because look, let me tell you. I gotta show you this. See that?
Yes.
That's a Italian bay leaf, and
Yes, it is.
What I'll do is take the bay leaf and I put it in a bowl with hot water, like really hot water, steaming hot water, and then take a handkerchief and make like a vaporizer for yourself and breathe in a bay leaf. The vapors from the bay leaf are very, 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 very good for you. Forget Vicks and all that other stuff. This is natural stuff that can really help your lungs and your nose and your sinuses and everything else.
I think I might try that.
Yeah.
These are some good tips. These are great.
Yeah. I mean, we were going to now ask you guys, what's one thing about you that people don't know? I didn't know that you had such great healing advice, John. But answer, what's one thing that folks might not know about you guys?
Oh, let's see.
Introvert.
Paul, are you talking about yourself or John?
Me.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why I play music, is that gave me a place to be, something to talk about in the crowd. I'm an introvert. I didn't have John's loving parents. I didn't have a father. It's kind of, my brother Johnny and I joke that we were raised by wolves. So I don't know political niceties. I don't know social niceties. I am way too honest for the average bear. Luckily, I'm not way too honest for John Boutte.
Oh, no. Let's see, man. What is something that people? Oh. Well, people know I play cornet because they know that what's my alias, Paul?
Oh, Skinny Parcheesi.
No, Skinny Parcheesi. No, Babyface Ladyman, dude.
That's who played trumpet on my record.
If anybody didn't know who I was, I am Babyface Ladyman.
I actually came to my record release party, and Babyface Ladyman was a mystery. So it was my Farewell to Storyville record. And his friend Bill Lynn, who's about 6.5 feet tall, just towers over John. He shows up at Chicky-Wawa, the place is packed, shows up at the back door, and I see Bill, he's big, you can see him. He's got sunglasses on, his hair pulled back, and he's wearing all black, leather jacket, black pants. And he opens the door dramatically, and in walks Babyface Ladyman with his trumpet under his arm, a bowler hat on, and a black stocking over his face, so you can't see who it is. Now, Babyface Ladyman was about 5'5", so some people guessed. He walked to the stage with his escort. He sat down. He took the trumpet out of the case. He played the song Mota 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 with me. People applauded. He put the trumpet back in the case. Babyface Ladyman took a bow. His bodyguard took him by the arm and let him out of the club. He remains a mystery to this day. Nobody knows who he is. The amazing Babyface man. And he played piano on
but I would say I think
9 Lives.
No, that was Skinny Parcheesi.
Because we recorded the intro for you too fast. And he
That's
said,
right.
I'll play it myself. And we said, great, we'll put that you play piano. He goes, no, baby, when a jazz singer does something he's not supposed to be doing, he has a pseudonym. So you can call me Skinny Parcheesi on piano.
Instead of Fats Domino.
Yeah, and in fact, Skinny got a credit on the album.
Yeah, he did.
For that song, yeah.
I can tell you this though, on serious side is that I can draw. I like painting. I'm a visual artist. I think father, like my sister did, and my baby brother. I'd love to be a visual artist. Even as a kid, when I picked up, before they gave me a horn, I was interested in drawing and just creating pictures and stuff like that, man. That's another route. I mean, it's not too late for me, man. You know, I'm taking through my pictures that I take here on the property. People are like, "Oh man, you got a great eye," blah 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 blah. You know, which that's cool. But you know, I remember the first camera I had, I brought up to Europe. It wasn't mine; it was my baby sister's. And I was in Italy, and I was in the car, and they stole it. The driver's seat, they stole it out the car. I'm like, what's Jeez, right? But so I never bought a camera. I was so pissed I just never bought a camera. But what I did, I had a sketchbook, and I always drew things that I saw in different places. Everywhere from Korea, when I lived there, to my early trips with Lillian from the cliffs of Dover to the Schwarzwald in Bavaria, southern Germany, etc., etc. But yeah, I like to draw, man. You know. So maybe I'll be as good as George Bush.
The next career. Well, guys, I want to thank both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, man.
We're gonna see you at Jazz Fest. John, I think you're playing second weekend. Paul, you're playing second weekend. You're Friday. I think you're Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm doing Saturday. I'm doing also a thing. I think on Sunday for a tribute to Dr. John, who's a different. I love so much, man.
I'm also going to be part of a tribute to Spencer Bowman at his son.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
That's first weekend?
I believe the Andre's thing is the first weekend.
I think it's the first weekend.
Well,
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to seeing you both. Thank
I'd
you
love to
guys
see
so
you,
much.
Chris, man, if you get a chance, I'd love to drag you out here to Lacombe if you find time, man. I might just throw a little hole down. All right.
Well, I might be looking for something to do on Rolling Stones Day that Wednesday. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Look, man, the Rolling Stones is gonna be a bigger super spreader than the fucking Olympics.
On that note.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. This is so much fun.
Get that merch. Get that merch. Get that merch.
Oh,
I love you guys. Paul, it's so good to see you, man. Come see me, dude.
I should. I miss
Come
you.
see about me. And
I haven't hit end record yet. This is too good.
hey, look. Gregory sends his love to you, and you also, Paul and Chris.
Yeah, Allison sends love to y'all.
Yeah, it's so good to see you guys, man.
Yeah.
And look, check this out. Check this out. You look at Paul. He cut out, huh? I got an afro. I'm back to 1976, baby.
Joining you, John. I'm joining you.
All right, guys. Love you.
All right.
Guys.
Stay healthy.
Are you coming to New Orleans?
Oh yeah.
Coming? All right, good.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
See y'all soon.
See you later. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.